Hello, good evening. Welcome to Camnet Television Main News. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo to present. Our top stories in the news tonight: 5 Egyptian nationals and 6 Zambians formally arrested and charged with espionage. Lusaka Yango driver brutally murdered by unknown people. Zema held for cancelling a mining license in Lower Zambezi National Park. In international news, crowds rally in Niamey to demand French troop withdrawal. And in sports news, champions Green Buffaloes Women's Football Club off to COSAFA qualifiers.
The government of the kingdom is the most powerful government in all of the universe. God appointed days and assignments for you to do long before your mother and father came together. So God spoke to Francis. The court of heaven is a very powerful place. It's a dimension in the spirit realm that my people can step into by faith and win battles against the devil.
There's at least 76 times where the Bible talks about that God is the judge of all the earth. So therefore, we're talking about the courts of heaven that is in the spiritual realm, not in the natural realm.
What God is about to do at Grace and in South Africa, I caught it. Therefore, what did I do? I believed. After I believed, I have announced. After I have announced, you and I are going to do what? Pray it into being in the natural.
The purpose of you knowing how to get into the courts of heaven and win the cases is not just for the sake of winning. It's for you to go to another level. To go to another level.
We have made prayer more complicated and difficult than what it is because we have not realized that this is a key element of our prayer life, that we pray that which we have purposed so that grace can accompany and we can succeed and you can live a fulfilled life. And the heavens are pleased because that's what they fashioned us for.
Hello again, another news in detail. A 38-year-old man of Lusaka's Kamwala South area, identified as Nicholas Chishimba, has been brutally murdered by unknown people, with some of his body parts suspected to have been removed. Wife to the deceased, Alice Chishimba, says her husband left home on Saturday around 20 hours to work with Yango and was expected back around 23 hours. Mrs. Chishimba says when she called around 23 hours, the phone went unanswered and was only called in the morning by Kawata police, who later notified her about his death. Confirming the incident, Zambia Police Service Deputy Spokesperson Danny Mwale says police officers discovered the deceased body in Lusaka's Kawata site and service on Sunday with multiple injuries and sharp instruments as suspected to have been used in the act. More in the following report.
She is grief-stricken as the life of her husband, Nicholas Chishimba, has been cut short in a gruesome manner by unknown people. Widow to the deceased, Alice Chishimba, tells Camnet News that her husband left home in Kamwala South Saturday around 20 hours with a car to engage in the Yango business. Mrs. Chishimba said he was expected to return home around 23 hours, but that's when something amiss was noticed.
Then I asked her, he said, where was the client picked? I said the client was picked from Haile Selassie Road, which is Long Acres, to going to Kawata site and service. Then I said, what time did the trip end? It was like 24:11. And then from there, from Kawata, they said that's when the app went on busy.
She explains that the matter has been taken up by the police, who has since launched investigations in the matter.
And we went there. We reached, I couldn't recognize because there's no face. So I said, I'm asking if you can lift his leg. I want to see. They said there's no leg. And I said, look, I'm asking if you can lift the hand. I see. So they lifted his hand. and I was able to use the one and the coat that he wore. That's it for now. This is where we are. Just waiting upon police.
Zambia Police Deputy Spokesperson Danny Mwale has confirmed the incident, stating that the body of the deceased was discovered in Kawata's site and service area.
The deceased was discovered by a 65-year-old woman of Kawata Site and Service on August 27, 2023, around 06:30 hours. He was found trapped between a motor vehicle, a Toyota Sienta, and a wall fence. Police officers who rushed to the scene discovered that the deceased had multiple injuries on his body. Sharp instruments are suspected to have been used in the act.
The community here remains in shock as they hope for tangible breakthrough from the police on the whereabouts of the culprits in the matter. For Camnet News, Afias Kaptula, Lusaka.
Some members of the public have called on government to introduce a law that criminalizes indiscriminate disposal of waste in the country. One of the residents, Ian Ndlovu, tells Camnet News that introducing such a law will promote the government's agenda of having cleaner cities. But Clean Cities Initiative Chief Executive Officer Watts Mwila says the country has sufficient laws, but poor enforcement is a major problem. Here's a report.
While the government seeks to have a clean and greener environment in the country, for some time waste management has been a thorn on the flesh of many citizens. In an attempt to champion the agenda of cleanliness, government spearheaded the removal of vendors on the streets. But with the removal of vendors on various streets, the perspective is cleanliness will be promoted. But some Lusaka residents are calling for the government to introduce a law that bars indiscriminate disposal of waste in the city.
Government because my countries yavanzati swavomekeza kuti chili chonse maleba chasunga tai chili chonse town mudoti simuoneka musho town iliyonse ifunika panyumba pali ponse pafunika baira
safunika kudaira chepansi funika tenga ka kabini kopyangiramu waindi watamu muchipini chikolo panduka ifidia zambireta doti mu mutauni yero mutani monika kilini so funika trisi wonse twambona acha hapa singa tairepo chindu atisi parikilini wa nyamula pia mili kunodaya wandutaira mbi chaventu funika kai mutani manja hapa mankana kilini.
Meanwhile, Clean Cities Initiative Chief Executive Officer Watts Mwila is concerned that the various local authorities are failing to enforce existing laws on waste management. Mr. Mwila is however challenging local authorities countrywide to commence enforcing laws that address the challenges of waste management in the country.
Each individual feels like they can do anything without and scot-free. So our appeal is that the councils who are mandated to enforce these laws should now start carrying out their jobs, because at the end of the day, one wonder what is the essence of having the laws which you cannot use against the offenders. So as Clean Cities Initiative, working with the local authorities, we want to urge them that it is time that now than never, that make sure that the perpetrators or the offenders or those who breach the law are punished. And that sets as a precedence, because once you do that, then you expect that the next person will not repeat the same things.
Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Munali's Chakunkula Ward Area Councillor Njomwana Chimuka has dispelled assertions that cadres are displacing traders in the area. Mr. Chimuka tells Camnet News that his office is aware of all activities surrounding land taking place in the area and nothing is being done outside the law. Speaking in an interview with Camnet News, the councillor said that through his office, the Lusaka City Council is re-demarcating land to ensure that all traders have a portion to trade from. There have been continued isolated incidents of complaints from some members of the public accusing suspected United Party for National Development cadres of grabbing land in the area.
I must make it straight that we are not in the business of selling land. The acquisition of land is straightforward. You go through the Lusaka City Council. So the issue surrounding Chrismo area, I think we've guided our youths. We've guided the members of the community that we need to trade with the full knowledge of Lusaka City Council, because Lusaka Council needs to raise revenue from these trading areas. So what is happening that side is we are trying to also bring normalcy. We don't want to promote capitalism. What we want to see is that women and youth that are trading in those areas are well organized, and that Lusaka City Council should move in and take advantage to collect levies from these trading areas. So whatever languages that are happening there, I think we're at the helm and will bring control. There's no capitalism and will not allow that to continue.
Exactly a month after local government and rural development minister Gary Nkombo called on all property and business owners in Lusaka's central business district to put refuse bins and beautify their premises, most shops in the CBD have defied this directive and are still operating without waste bins in their shops. On the 27th of July 2023, local government and rural development minister Gary Nkombo directed business owners to place refuse bins and allow for easy separation of waste at all entrances or exits following the relocation of street vendors. A Camnet news crew spoke to some business owners who advised the local authority to inspect shops frequently and sanction those who have not complied with the ministerial directives. More in this report.
This is the Lusaka Central Business District, a month after street vendors were removed. The city looks clear, however remains dirty, despite Minister of Local Government and Rural Development Gary Nkombo directing all shop owners to put refuse bins in their business premises. A check by this reporter found some business houses have hit to the directive while others is business as usual. Those spoken to suggested that the local authority intensifies inspections and that those who be found wanting be sanctioned.
They have to buy the bin to put just between the shop. At least the corridor it looks clean. Can help the councils.
It's us who are careless. If us we are careless, then these people they will be like they are not working just because we are not maintaining clean. But at the end of the day, what we want is our town to be clean.
It's one thing to make pronouncements. It's one thing to give directives. But when it comes to the sanctity and the functionality of the city, in particular the CBD, the council needs to be proactive. They need to start going into every major street, approaching every major shop owner, making them aware of this directive that every building, every shop has to have at least a bin in front of them. Everybody has to paint their buildings. If you don't enforce, by enforcing we mean council police going to every shop saying there's this new directive, we are expecting you to comply because it will contribute to the functionality of the city. If we just leave it at saying no, Minister Lusaka City in the CBD is clear, but it's not clean.
Those who have not yet put bins in their shops told this reporter off camera that all that is needed is a mindset change, as their businesses previously had refuse bins but did not make any difference. On 27th last month, Minister of Local Government and Rural Development Gary Nkombo directed all shop owners in the CBD to put refuse bins in their trading places. Mr. Nkombo, in a statement dated 27th July 2023, urged all shop and property owners to cooperate by meeting this requirement by 31st August 2023. With only 3 days to go, we await to see what action will be taken against those who defy the ministerial directive. Vincent Piri for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
The Engineering Institution of Zambia, EIZ, has suspended the practicing license for Stalwart Investments, the contractor of Chanda Mall in Makeni, that collapsed while under construction on the 31st of July 2023, leaving one worker dead. Engineering Registration Board Chairperson Dr. Michael Nsefu says the license has been suspended for a period of 60 days, within which the contractor is expected to appear before the EIZ Disciplinary Committee. In an interview with Camnet News, Dr. Nsefu says the action is in pursuant of the EIZ Act No. 17 of 2010 under Section 30. More in this report.
The Engineering Institution of Zambia, EIZ, has suspended the practicing license for Stewart Investments for 60 days pending disciplinary hearing. Stewart Constructor is the company on the center of Chandamo, which collapsed in Makeni while it's under construction on 31st July 2023, leaving one worker dead. Engineering Registration Board Chairperson, Engineer Michael Nsefu, says the suspension follows investigations by the Engineering Technical Committee to determine the integrity of Chandamo building that revealed that the main cause of the collapse was inadequate formwork design, decayed support structure, and inaccurate installation.
And the preliminary report, which was brought out, it's what has culminated to this decision now, that the Engineering Registration Board has, with immediate effect, suspended the practicing license for Stewart Investments for the period for 60 days. And within the 60 days, they'll be written to so that they appear before the EIZ disciplinary committee.
In an interview with Camnet News, Dr. Nsefu has since warned all contractors in the country to adhere to required standards to avoid such calamities.
Want to warn organizations out there which are practicing in engineering that you need to ensure that you uphold the professional conduct and also the standards of engineering so that there's no loss of life.
EIZ has since reminded all engineering professionals and organizations that professional misconduct will result in a license being revoked or any other punishment as enshrined in the EIZ Act No. 17 of 2010. For Camnet News, Afias Kaptula, Lusaka.
The Drug Enforcement Commission, in collaboration with other law enforcement agencies, has formally arrested and charged 5 Egyptian nationals and 6 Zambians, including a senior police officer, for espionage, contrary to Section 3, Cap A of the State Security Act 111 of the laws of Zambia. They have since appeared in court. Meanwhile, the Director of Public Prosecutions has issued a certificate denying the 11 accused persons involved in the alleged gold scam not to be admitted to bail. The certificate was presented by state prosecutors before Lusaka Chief Resident Magistrate Davis Chibweli this afternoon, has been protested by the accused through their lawyers on the basis that it is an irregularity. 5 Egyptians and 6 Zambians have been charged with 1 count of espionage. It is alleged that the 11 accused on the 11th of August 2023 at Kenneth Kaunda International Airport, whilst acting together, entered a protective place, which is the Kenneth Kaunda Airport, for purpose that was prejudiced to the safety and interest to the Republic of Zambia. The 11 were recently arrested by the Drug Enforcement Commission in connection with an alleged gold scam involving $5.7 million, which was intercepted at the Kenneth Kaunda International Airport. The accused in this matter included businessman Shadrach Kasanda, Francis Makai, a state security personnel, Robson Monga, a police officer, Jim Belemo, a businessman, Diangamo Mulungu, an accountant, and Patrick Kawanu, a pilot. Others are Walid Botros, an Egyptian businessman, Munia Awad, a businessman, Mohammed Abelhak, retired officer, and Yassa Mukhtar, security manager. The case has been adjourned to tomorrow, the 29th of August 2023, for ruling. The accused appeared this afternoon at 17:30 for an explanation of their charge. The Lusaka Magistrate Court has declined an application by the Socialist Party leader, Dr. Fred Membe, to issue a bench warrant against the Inspector General of Police, Grafael Musamba. Magistrate Crispin Hampungani on account that the court would be abusing its authority if it issued a warrant against the chief officer as a first summons he has abrogated. This is in a matter in which Dr. Membe has taken the Inspector General of Police, Grafael Musamba, to court for defamation.
Mr. Musamba occupies a very high position as Inspector General of Police. He's a very important man, but he's not above the law. The law required him to come to court today. He didn't. He could have been issued with a bench warrant, but the court exercised some lenience because it's the first time he has done so. So on the 11th of September, he needs to be here. There is a need to realize that the exercise of power must be a constant practice of self-limitation and modesty.
Over 60,000 learners have returned to school in Northern Province after the introduction of free education by the new Dawn government. Northern Province Deputy Permanent Secretary Louis Mwape says free education has enabled learners at various levels to return to school. Speaking with Ministry of Information and Media, Director Spokesperson Thabo Kabwana paid a courtesy call on him at his office today. Mr. Mwape said that without free education, the 60,000 learners could have been at home. Mr. Mwape said that cost is a barrier to education and government could not leave this huge number of children without accessing education. Meanwhile, Ministry of Information and Media Director Spokesperson Thabo Kabwana said that the expanded Constituency Development Fund has helped to actualize free education through the construction of additional classroom blocks at various schools. Mr. Kabwana said that the introduction of free education has brought with it positive challenges that are being addressed.
It's not a big achievement. That entails that this is more than 60,000 learners could have been at home. And you may wish also to know that it also tells a story that cost is a barrier to access to education. So as the government, you cannot leave these huge numbers without accessing education. So we want to thank the new Dawn government under the leadership of His Excellency, the President of this Republic, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, for this decision and the board's decision to ensure that education is free.
Also noted under the expanded CDF that with the introduction of free education, a lot of challenges were unearthed, but these are challenges as government we want to call positive challenges. And among them was the having introduced free education, we had enrollment levels that arose, and this meant that we had more pupils in schools than had anticipated. But we never sat behind or sat back. We are able to see now that, for example, CDF is able to put up extra classroom blocks, as is the case with Kasama Secondary Day School in Useko.
We'll take our first break, but we'll be back for more news after the break.
Deborah, have you connected to the Wi-Fi on the bus? It's fast, it's amazing. I've just downloaded my books and I'm about to complete the series. It's nice, too, me.
No, I'm actually watching a reality show. He's about to propose. Oh, so sweet.
Make your trip seem short yet comfortable and safe when you use the UBZ luxurious fully air-conditioned coaches that come fitted with amazing onboard entertainment, passenger information services, coffee-making facilities and fridge for your hot and cold beverages, free and interrupted Wi-Fi for your gadgets, phone charging facilities, comfortable seats that recline to offer extra resting posture, safety seat belts, adjustable reading lights for each traveling client, and of course, clean flushing toilets for your convenience. So travel in luxury and safety with UBZ luxurious coaches. UBZ will always take you there.
In our quest to serve nations and develop Africa, Savenda is investing in the agriculture sector so as to produce supply for both local and international markets. Housing over 12,000 pullets that are nurtured and fed with our locally made stock feed that comes from our own locally grown maize and soya beans, all processed from our recently installed milling and mixing plant. Our over 95,000 layers have an output capacity of over 1,500 trays of fresh eggs per day that are carefully selected and packaged for all the leading stores and supermarkets nationwide. Our greenhouses are fitted with the latest irrigation system, and the seedlings are nurtured to ensure only healthy plants reach the fields. With our deliberate planting schedule, we are better placed to supply constantly without interruption, thus reliable. Savenda Farms is also changing lives of its dedicated workforce drawn from the local community and beyond. So the next time you think fresh and green, think Savenda Farms.
The government of the kingdom is the most powerful government in all of the universe. God appointed days and assignments for you to do long before your mother and father came together. So God spoke to St. Francis. The court of heaven is a very powerful place. It's a dimension in the spirit realm that my people can step into by faith and win battles against the devil.
There's at least 76 times where the Bible talks about that God is the judge of all the earth. So therefore, we're talking about the courts of heaven that is in the spiritual realm, not in the natural realm.
What God is about to do at Grace and in South Africa, I caught it. Therefore, what did I do? I believed. After I believed, I have announced. After I have announced, you and I are going to do what? Pray it into being in the natural.
The purpose of you knowing how to get into the courts of heaven and win the cases is not just for the sake of winning. It's for you to go to another level. To go to another level.
We have made prayer more complicated and difficult than what it is because we have not realized that this is a key element of our prayer life, that we pray that which were purposed so that grace can accompany and we can succeed and you can live a fulfilled life. And the heavens are pleased because that's what they fashioned us for.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
We continue with the news. Citizens Environmental and Social Concern (SESCO) has welcomed the decision by the Zambia Environmental Management Agency (ZEMA) to revoke the mining license in the Lower Zambezi National Park. SESCO Executive Director Conwell Hakapia says this decision stands as a crucial safeguard against setting a precedent for environmentally detrimental investments in ecologically sensitive regions like national parks across the nation. Mr. Hakapia has since called for concerted efforts among all stakeholders to explore sustainable, environmentally sound alternatives that uphold both economic progress and ecological well-being. In June, Zambia Environmental Management Agency (ZEMA) ordered the suspension of all mining operations in the Lower Zambezi National Park emanating from non-compliance with the conditions outlined in the letter issued to Mwembeshi Resources Limited. Governance actors have advised government to resist temptation of joining a grouping of the world economies of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, widely known as BRICS, as it may have a negative impact on the country's economic growth. New Congress Party leader Peter Chanda says Zambia will benefit a lot if it remains non-aligned, as it will be able to mingle with every country. Meanwhile, economist Kelvin Chisanga says choosing a side will bring fragmentation in trade and commerce. More in this report.
The leaders of the BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa, meeting at a summit in Johannesburg, South Africa, announced their decision to expand membership of the group of emerging economies. Two more African countries, namely Egypt and Ethiopia, are to join the group from 1st January, along with Argentina, Iran, Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates. Expansion of the group, which has been meeting since 2009, offers African countries the chance to gain a louder voice on the world stage. However, governance actors in Zambia have advised government to resist temptations of joining the group.
Zambia stands a better chance
to remain a non-aligned state. The advantage is that you are able to deal with both. We understand that the BRICS summit talked about the issue of currency and all those. We cannot enter into a fight between Russia and America to look at who is a superpower. We cannot enter into a fight between China and America to look at who is a superpower. And the battle of the dollar or the other currency, because I know under the BRICS summit they are talking about a currency that should be used. But my call is that there are many advantages in remaining a non-aligned state, because you can be able to mingle with both the BRICS as well as the Western world.
Economist Kelvin Chisanga says choosing a side will bring fragmentation in trade and commerce.
It's becoming a very strong economic force to fight many aspects of the global challenges. Obviously, that's a positive side. But in terms of the comparison, it has a component of a silent war on the trade system, where there is a bit of a fight somehow in terms of economic values, policies, and all that. So for me, to bring a lot of fragmentation within the trade and the commerce pattern. So maybe there is a need for us to harmonize it in such a way that it's supposed now to speak proper system. With the way things are standing, it has more of an attack, sort of economic attack in a way. It does not need us for us to get so much into it actually. But of course, we just need to affiliate ourselves so that we can, trigger economic gains from there.
And governance activist Wesley Mianda also had this to say.
Socially, we may end up compromising our own constitution, because by being part of BRICS, we actually will easily be influenced by the Western, constitutional elements. So this actually may put us in an awkward position as Zambians. Now, we're coming to these African countries. Of course, we should not just put ourselves and say, okay, we are an African country, and we should be part of this group. But we need to assess ourselves and be sure of what we are doing and what we are saying, because even religiously, we may end up actually compromising on that one.
Vincent Piri for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
The Emerald and Semi-Precious Minerals Association of Zambia is calling upon Zambians to support President Hakainde Hichilema in his quest to eradicate poverty in the country. Association President Victor Kalesha says fixing the economy is a process which needs everyone's input and not leave everything to the president. Mr. Kalesha has advised miners to be compliant.
Is the economy not doing too well? Do we have economic hardships? Yes, we have economic hardships, but I would like to request to every one of my fellow countrymen, eradication of poverty is a process. And if we want to see any tangible results in terms of the economy improving, economy picking up, we need to trust the process. Let's allow the government that we've put in place to be able to run the country according to the agenda that they have put in place, to the programs that they have put in place. It may have seemed like things are going high, mealie meal is going high, cooking oil is going high. Yes, they are, and the president knows that. There is no person that you put in governance in place and then he says, let the people start suffering. There is a process that will change the livelihoods of the people. If the president wants today, or the UPND government wants today, they would be able to just put shortcuts in place, subsidies there, subsidies in there, and then to appease the people. But in the long term, these are not practical and workable solutions. The compliance levels in our country are too low, especially in the Ministry of Mines and Minerals Development. And because of that, they felt they needed to remind us that we need to be compliant on every statutory requirement.
We'll take our second and final break. We'll be back with international sports news after the break.
Get all the latest updates in court news only on Camnet TV. We take you and make you feel part of the court sessions through our in-depth coverage of the adjudication process. Get informed on those who have been arrested, delayed and denied the police bond or bail victims, persons taking plea, court adjournments, verdicts, and those administration issues in the judiciary. Camnet TV is on channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on GoTV, and find us on channel 106 on Topstar. You can also follow and give us a like on our social media platforms. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Rainglow, your smart irrigation partner.
Welcome back. And now in international news, hundreds of supporters of Niger's coup leaders have rallied outside the French embassy and the military base in the capital, Niamey. They want French soldiers and the ambassador to leave the country. Paris says the country's military leaders do not have the authority to make that demand. Here's a roundup of international news for more.
There seems to be no let-up in the pressure Niger's junta is putting on French diplomats and troops to leave the country. Coup supporters turned up at the French embassy and army base in the capital in their thousands. Some draped in the national colors, others sporting flags of countries they consider friendly. Standing between them and a military base where hundreds of French troops are believed to be staying are dozens of Niger soldiers and police.
Niger doesn't belong to France. We told the French to leave. They said no. What's their plan? As citizens, we don't want the French here. They can do whatever they want in France, but not here.
This military base is attached to the international airport here in Niamey. And if the French ambassador and troops don't leave, a sit-in will be held here in the coming days and weeks. An estimated 1,500 French soldiers are believed to be here, and the coup supporters want them gone.
Anti-French sentiments are on the rise here since the junta ordered the French ambassador to leave. The foreign ministry in Paris says Niger's military leadership has no authority to expel their diplomat. Protest organizers say their country has been taken for granted for too long, and it's time for that to stop.
We like a very good partnership in which that we are winning and they are winning. That's the win-win strategy. That's we like.
A September 2 deadline for French troops to leave is less than a week from now. Protest organizers say the pressure will continue until the last French personnel leave. They hope their demand to cut supplies will hasten the departure of the country's former colonial power. Ahmed Idris, Al Jazeera, Niamey.
An arrival greeted with fanfare in Port Sudan. Sudanese Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan arrived Sunday in the coastal city as the country reels from over 4 months of war with paramilitaries. Anyone who says there is an agreement or a deal with the RSF or someone is helping is delusional. We don't strike deals with traitors or any party that betrayed the Sudanese people. And we will not cooperate with any side that betrayed the Sudanese people. Burhan made his first public foray in months earlier this week, having been cloistered within army headquarters in the capital, Khartoum, ever since the conflict erupted on April 15. The Sudanese people stand by the army. All our units everywhere are united in the goal of defeating this rebellion and this betrayal, and those mercenaries coming from all over the world. More than 4.6 million people have been displaced by the fighting, both across borders and within Sudan, where 6 million people are one step away from famine, according to the UN.
In Chad, a field hospital run by refugees is saving the lives of those who have fled ongoing conflict in Sudan's Darfur region. The makeshift hospital run by doctors who escaped the violence in El Janina allow refugees to get treated for diseases such as malaria. It is the malaria season now, but we also have illnesses that are chronic, non-communicable diseases, diabetes, high blood pressure, heart diseases, and there was a complete cut-off of medicine shipments for more than 2 months. It's known that Janina hospitals collapsed 2-3 months ago. As medical facilities have been targeted and looted in the capital of Darfur, lack of basic services has also resulted in many preventable deaths. Although grateful for the hospital, some refugees bemoan a lack of access to gynecologists and obstetricians. The war started and we were kicked out of our homes in Janina, and so we came here to Adre, and we're still here. We can't go back, and we don't have medical care here. Thank God. We're grateful for everything, but we need a gynecologist and an obstetrician. Thank God the people of Janina have made this hospital. The United Nations has warned that Sudan's conflict has created a humanitarian emergency of epic proportions.
And now in sports news, reigning champions Green Buffaloes Women Football Club have made their way to South Africa for the CAF Women's Champions COSAFA qualifiers that kicks off this week. Buffaloes made their way to South Africa from Kenneth Kaunda International Airport in Lusaka aboard South African Airways and will open their defensive title ambitions with a date against Double Action Ladies on 30 August at Sugar Ray Zulu Stadium in Durban. Next in Charles Halubono's roster will be against Malawian champions in Topwa FC, 2 days later wrapping up their Group A assignment against Lesotho Defence Force on 4 September 2023. The teams at this year's tournament will face off in a round-robin format with the top 2 sides in each pool advancing to the semi-finals. The winner of Group A will meet the runner-up in Group B and vice versa. Only the club that wins this year's qualifier will advance to the continental competition, which is scheduled to be held from November 5 to 19. And still in sports news, Minister of Youth and Sports Elvis Nkando has disclosed that this week his ministry will open up to tenders for the rehabilitation of the national heroes and Levi Mwanawasa Stadia.
Kick-started at both Heroes and Mwanawasa. Now, taking into account that we have African envoys that are representing this country, so even when we say that we'll be looking for bids for both stadium, we'll start with I think Heroes, so that we create room for Mwanawasa to be used by our African envoys. Because if we again say, let's wait until we see where our African envoys are going, we may create a situation where we may not have any stadium in the country to use. Also looking at a situation where World Cup, I think, is fast approaching, the games are fast approaching. So we have no option but to make sure that before the World Cup kicks off, something would have been done in terms of rehabilitation of the stadium. In fact, when you're talking about Mwanawasa and Heroes, it's just the TIF that we are critically looking at, because I think when we add the Barcelona Legends game against our Legends in Zambia, I think we had touched to I think some civil works were done here and there. So I think it's only the TIF that need to be looked at critically.
And Camnet Television main news, the top stories once again. 5 Egyptian nationals and 6 Zambians formally arrested and charged with espionage. Lusaka Yango driver brutally murdered by unknown people. Zema held for cancelling a mining license in Lower Zambezi National Park. In international news, Crowds rally in Niamey to demand French troop withdrawal. And in sports news, champions Green Buffaloes Women's Football Club off to COSAFA qualifiers. The Camnet verse of the day is coming from the book of Revelation 1 verse 7. Look, he is coming with the clouds, and every eye will see him, even those who pierced him, and all peoples on earth will mourn because of him. So shall it be. Amen. Thank you so much for watching Camnet Television News. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Good night.